So I'm curious, given the remarkably polarized moment we find ourselves in nationally and in many cases globally, how do you navigate that when you're in the territory, whether it's around the environment or around education, where you also have customers, you have suppliers, you have all sorts of stakeholders, you have shareholders. How do you figure out how to avoid the minefields while having an impact?
You focus on, or what I do, I'm not sure this is the right thing, but I focus on what's right and decide that first, and then it's more about what you do. The issues that we weigh in on are issues we feel like we have standing. And by standing, I mean that we have a legitimate, unique position or lens on the issue, that we have something to value, something of value to say, that we're not just a talking head, right? That we're just not adding to the, giving an opinion, so to speak. And so things that we feel like we have a unique lens are things like immigration, things like education, things like the environmental protection, things like privacy, things that are in the human rights area. I mean, these things are incredibly important to our employees. We are a company of immigrants. We have 300 plus people that are in the United States on DACA. And so these issues are deeply personal for us. And I think that I would hope that every CEO would stand up and represent their employees. And yes, at the end of the day, you do upset some people when you do this. But I try not to get wrapped up in a pretzel about who we upset, because I think at the end of the day, not in the thick of the moment, but at the end of the day, we'll be judged more by did we stand up for what we believed in, not necessarily do they agree with me on everything. And I think still people appreciate that, even when they do disagree. And we've taken some unpopular positions, I recognize that, but we do them out of believing deeply that they're right and that we have a unique lens. We focus on policies, not politics. We do not focus on politics. And I recognize that everything kind of, unfortunately these days, tends to break down in that way. But we focus on the policy itself, not the politics. Apple, this is probably not known to a lot of people in here, but Apple doesn't have a PAC. Apple's probably the only large company, I would think, or one of the very few that doesn't have a PAC. I refuse to have one because it shouldn't exist, right? This should not. I think the people that should be able to donate are people that can vote, right? And we should set a limit about what that is, and maybe it's the current limits, maybe it's a different limit, and it should be transparent. And so I never have donated any money to a PAC personally. Every donation I've ever made is public. And so it can stand the public scrutiny. People can decide whether they like it or they don't like it. And I do that for my personal self, not for the company. The company donates zero to political candidates.